Special Investigating Unit has slammed allegations that it did not follow due process during its probe into the Digital Vibes contract scandal. A close associate of suspended Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize scooped a 150 million rand COVID-19 communications tender from the ministry. The SIU has slammed claims by Mkhize's son, Dedani, that it relied on media reports to conduct its investigation.
Mr. Dedani was indicating that we did not listen to him, but that cannot be true because he has written an affidavit to us, and that affidavit was taken into consideration. Therefore, for us, it is very problematic when a person says that. But he goes on to say that we have worked through the newspapers, which is really nonsense as far as I'm concerned. We did our investigation. You can see from the affidavit that it was a thorough investigation that was done. And for us, we believe that we've done the job that needed to be done. And lastly, he also talks about us having not given him the papers before we went to the tribunal. That is also a sign that he doesn't understand how processes are done, because it is very clear that we have got to firstly file the papers with the tribunal. They get stamped, and that stamped copy is the one that we've got to give to all the 20-something respondents, including himself. Therefore, whatever he's saying doesn't have any merit at all. Firstly, we took his affidavit, we considered it thoroughly. Secondly, because we have now put him as a respondent, he has got to respond to the papers of the special tribunal. By now, he has already received the papers, because my people have indicated to me that they served all the people by the weekend to make sure that everybody has got the papers. He now has an opportunity to respond and still put his side of the story for the second time. And we then have to respond to him, and then the matter will then sit in the court for it to be taken forward.
Now, there's mounting pressure on President Cyril Ramaphosa after the SIU report found suspended Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize directly and indirectly benefited from the shady 150 million rands Digital Vibes contract. To talk to me about this, I'm joined now by Northwest University's Management and Administration Professor Hanyane. Prof, good evening, and thank you very much for your time tonight. The National Working Committee of the ANC said to be meeting, and top of the agenda would be the fate and the future of suspended Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize. Looking at a divided ANC that is right now, and a President Cyril Ramaphosa possibly looking for a second term, do you think there's an appetite in the ANC to suspend Dr. Zweli Mkhize?
So, good evening to you, good evening to your viewers. I think, for what it's worth, and of course in relation to the NASREC resolutions, centered around that is the issue of dealing with issues of corruption, rebuilding the party itself, and then of course some kind of a renewal, which some might think it will be a walk in the park. It's going to bring pain to the ANC. And at the heart of that process is the president taking unpopular decisions. And one of those is to see to it that his own comrades must be held accountable, both in the party, and if there's serious malfeasance of a kind, let the law take its course. So the president surely is feeling the wrath, the pressure. Some might say it's undue, but it's there, and it was expected that in the name of cleaning up his own party, some decisions will have to be taken. If it means suspending the already suspended health minister, and maybe show him the door and go beyond that by extension, reshuffle the cabinet. That must be done. The worrying factor is what kind of methodology will be adopted.
Yeah.
At a time when the president himself called for some measure of meritocracy come the local government elections in February next year.
Yeah.
Will he follow suit by making sure that those who occupy positions in the executive have the right acumen, are qualified, have the right experience, and of course the right attitude to deal with matters of national interest?
Is it likely going to be carried out like it was carried out for the other members, including the Secretary General, where Dr. Zweli Mkhize will have to appear before the Integrity Commission making that decision, and hopefully the Deputy Secretary General, now the acting Secretary General, writing that letter to say, you now step aside.
Public confidence would dictate that he acts swiftly, rightly so, being given proper advice by his advisors to say, there's a case to answer here. But then within his own party, surely an outcry can be observed. If one looks at the Dr. Bandile Masuku's case in Gauteng, in the office of the presidency, Madam Kusela Diko, and others who had to face more or less the same fate, one then is wondering, is there uniformity here? Is there consistency in the manner in which discipline is sought? And in this case, making sure that within the party, the principle of rule of law is applied. It's not something that is reserved for national interest only, but making sure that it's observed indeed within the ANC.
Yeah. Or will we see something similar to this particular suspension, where at one end the president says, no, he's suspended, and he appears on the other end and says, no, we agreed amicably that I should step aside for a moment. You know, very embarrassing to say, who's actually in charge? Did he make the suggestion that I should step aside, or did you actually say, no, you need to step aside while you deal with this matter?
Well, the outcry is out. It's out there to say, look, he needs to demonstrate servant leadership. Why must he be pushed when knowing very well that he's occupying a very important role at a time where there is COVID-19, and him being a medical doctor, he has more to offer to the country, and make sure that, amongst others, the issue of vaccination is rolled out quickly, and we get to that herd immunity, and all other health-related challenges, infrastructure, medicines, dealing with other related diseases. So his job is really critical. But then there is this political agenda that's on the table. Should he stay? Should he be persuaded? Should he be given a leeway of a kind? I think not. I think the president must act on this one, and not to give room for other concessions which will not add value in terms of promoting good servant leadership.
What is your view on the implications of the president acting on this one, considering the political situations that you're talking about and the warring factions within the party?
Well, sadly, it means he has now a spear or a gun to shoot himself or pierce himself. The very loyal lieutenants that supported him pre the Nasrec conference, I'd like to believe Mkhize is one of those, are basically walking away from him, and he can't afford to do that. Not intentionally, but of course, being found wanting from an ethical point of view. He needs people around him who will support him, who will offer him some kind of loyalty to make sure that his vision, call it the New Dawn, call it the Tumamina vision, whatever you call it, it needs to be realized. And for that to happen, it needs support. And sadly, within the top six, one wonders whether that support is there. And I would beg to differ with any opinion that seeks to suggest that he's enjoying support ideologically and otherwise.
Late President Nelson Mandela aside, will President Cyril Ramaphosa be the first president, I suppose, to only serve one term?
Well, that question may come down to personal preference, but then let's create room for persuasion. There is that narrative that suggests that when Mangaung took over, that there was that element of being persuaded to say somebody is needed to calm things within the ANC, and by extension, the parliamentary caucus as well. I think it will come down to him this time, despite the presence of persuasion to say you are the last man standing, you bring in some kind of institutional memory, you've been there in the seat before, seemingly there is a credible amount of confidence from the public that you are the only one who is likely to save the ANC. That needs to be tested going forward. And yeah, in the end, it will have to be a personal decision.
Professor Hanyane, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us tonight, Northwest.